All right, guys, we got Kyle Loftis, owner of 1320Video. He started it. He kind of, maybe it's a little aggressive to say, you kind of invented what we all do on social media and bringing it to people because to start, I guess, let me explain how I imagined it started and maybe I'm wrong.
Sure.
So you started by filming racing because you thought it was fun and then you posted it on forums. Yeah. And forums were a thing that people probably don't know about. And then it became to a point where you sold DVDs, right?
Yep.
And then the DVDs, and then YouTube came out, and then you went to YouTube. I feel like I'm explaining your origin story, but I'm also kind of imagined, because that's how I've always imagined it, and maybe I was wrong.
Pretty accurate, yeah. And I started off with guerrilla marketing on message boards because that was the only thing we had for social media back then.
You see even message boards, like people are like, what are you talking about?
Some people. A few still around.
Is there still message boards?
Yeah, LS1 Tech, SVT Performance.
Oh, I was just talking to the guy that founded LS1 Tech.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Tony, right?
Yep, Tony Watley. Mm-hmm. Great dude.
So you started there. So you started on just...
I started this
spamming?
Just because I have some weird obsession for taking photos and videos of like everything. Mm-hmm. And I got into, I think I got that from my grandpa. And I was in car audio, and pretty much everyone that's in car audio eventually goes to fast cars, or they just lose all their money spending on stereo equipment. And I just had this really weird obsession with finding different ways of sharing what I shot with more and more and more people. So I thought it was cool, and turns out other people did too.
You know, I've talked to Nick Leo about this a bunch of times because he's kind of the same way as you, where he just filmed everything even before he had somewhere to put it all. Mm-hmm. And not many people started that way now, because now everybody's like, oh, I just want to make $1 million off of being a YouTuber.
Sure.
Versus starting with like, oh, I just filmed everything, so I needed an outlet for it. And I think it's more of the real way to start, probably, is liking the process and liking the filming more than liking the end result.
I had no dreams of making $1 doing it. I was just doing it for fun.
Really? So, yeah. I mean, you were buying a good amount of equipment to just do it for fun then.
Oh, I started off on little point and shoot. Like, the cell phones couldn't take any sort of good media at the time. It was just, pretty sure I had a flip phone at the time. Yeah, definitely a flip phone. And so I had a little Canon ELPH. I still have like 6 of them in my camera graveyard in my basement. And it shot video, but it was like 240p and photos. So I'd take photos and videos at car stereo competitions. And the next one I go to, I'd sell a CD for $5 to people from the last trip to pay for my trip I was on.
So I guess it probably also worked out that you didn't.
So I guess I was making money in the beginning, but it wasn't. It was just a hustle to keep going to different competitions. It was really because I didn't have any money.
To the next one. It worked out that you didn't go deep into car stereo stuff, because if you tried to build like the car stereo side of things to this size, probably wouldn't have panned out.
There's not that big an audience for that.
Not anymore, at least. Maybe there was.
It's still pretty big. It's just like a subculture, like anything else, but
seems very small.
Yeah.
Very like niche in a niche.
I'm not sure which I lost more hearing with. I don't know, but I didn't use earplugs with stereos, so we're better off today.
Yeah. And you had a stereo car at the time.
My first car was a 95 Neon. Bought it for $3,500 from my dad. Mm-hmm. And the craziest stereo I had in there was 615s in a wall, 25 cubic foot box, which is like the size of this table, just the whole back seat. 10 batteries in the trunk and 5 amplifiers. And
it's funny too, because like when you're thinking stereo contest, it doesn't really matter what you start with as much as like a race car.
No, it's just for fun.
It's just what
there's different classes.
You can build something into any car, really. I mean, you're talking a Neon. Didn't matter what it had.
There's certain cars that are better for stereo competitions, like hatchbacks are really good.
Do you still upgrade your stereos much in your cars?
I have stock in everything.
Is that because you have a bit of a modified car curse, or is that because...
I'm burnt out on car stereos. And newer cars have really good stereos to begin with now.
They've almost, like the newer cars almost forced stereos out.
Yep.
Where you don't put a head unit in, you don't put anything in. Because they kind of force that realm out of existence almost.
I got pretty deep into that world. It was a lot of fun. Went to some pretty big stereo competitions. One of my favorite moments was meeting Alma Gates, who was a big partner of Kicker, and she had this Bronco that set a bunch of like Guinness World Records with like 64 10-inch subs. She was this gray-haired like 65-year-old lady, just having a blast.
Just die hard, as loud as possible.
Yeah. Still stay in touch with Wayne Harris, who runs DB Drag Racing, which is one of the big car stereo competition groups.
Oh, that's cool. Have you guys filmed any of those like since?
No, that could actually be kind of fun. That could be fun to go a big competition, actually.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen one in. The only time I ever see a stereo contest are like old videos and old
it's
photos.
Still around. It's still around for sure.
Yeah, I'm not used to the current. And then, so the DVD stuff is interesting because there's a few, like a small handful of people that sold DVDs.
Yep.
And
there was a small window of time where it was something you could do as an amateur, and then it got phased out.
It's like you, Ferretti, and
that's right.
And
Urban Hillbilly. Urban Hillbilly had a big DVD business.
Yep.
Yeah, Andrew Hawkins. I've got like 30 of his DVDs. I think he's made like 40 some. He's got me beat. I think I was up to like 20, probably 32-ish.
Oh, wow.
My first one I authored was like probably 2 or 3 years into filming when I was working at Stereo West. That was my dream job. I was working in college, and I couldn't figure out how to actually author the DVD and put like the chapters on it. And so I don't know how I got a hold of them. Maybe it was on MySpace or something. I made a post because Facebook wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And my friend reached out to me, and he did a lot of DVD authoring because he owned a porn company. I went to high school with him, and he moved down to Florida. And so my first 2 DVDs were actually authored by the same company that made his stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and if you own one of my Volume 2 DVDs, the first batch, and you have a Pioneer or Sony DVD player, which happened to be the same brand that I had in our screening at UNO, 300 people, including my friends and family, if you hit the pause button, it puts his screensaver up instead of mine. So my friends noticed the 20-foot beaver, 30-foot beaver.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that what's in there?
Yeah. If you have a run of the first 500 DVDs, you get a little surprise in
That's
there.
quite a big oops.
Yeah.
Because presumably a lot of people would pause the DVD.
Yeah, I did in the middle of the screening.
Yeah, you would think.
Just a couple seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty normal to pause a DVD, especially if a street racer, you're like, oh, let me pause and rewind a little bit.
So
what was the first one on?
Street racing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it Texas streets or was it?
No,
like
it was Omaha. Mainly Omaha. We also went down to Kansas City a lot. The first one was just a lot of amateur stuff. Volume one was pretty much just Omaha. A little bit of track racing. I did a few features in it. The second one, we went down to Kansas City for some street racing, and I think it was just KC and Omaha. But I sold a few thousand. It wasn't bad, especially when you're in college.
Awesome. Yeah.
And that was all just through guerrilla marketing, literally just posting links in message boards. There was no social media. There was no YouTube. And then eventually, and that was why I was resistant to moving over to YouTube, was because I put links to my website so people would look at the DVDs and the merchandise on my website. Mm-hmm. And so I worried that if I didn't do that, then people wouldn't buy the merchandise. Like, they wouldn't see my website. And that was back when you couldn't make money on YouTube.
Yeah, I was going to say, because, YouTube didn't have advertising for quite a while. Mm-hmm. So you were worried that putting on YouTube wouldn't sell the DVDs?
Exactly, because they would just see it on YouTube and they'd see all they needed.
That's interesting.
Then I started putting ads in the YouTube videos. It worked out.
You put your own ads in before YouTube even had ads?
I would just put like a little caption. Like, I didn't show my face on my videos for like 8 years. Mm-hmm. So it was just like, buy DVDs at 1320video.com, put a link in the description.
And at that time, nobody really had any other way to watch any racing of any kind like that.
Yeah, I actually hosted my videos originally on Parrish with the blue Chevy pickup. He had a server somewhere, and then I started using a lot of his bandwidth. And then I eventually moved it over to a computer in my dorm room. Not my dorm room, my friend's dorm room, who was the friend of the system admin for the dorms. And then I had a video go viral, and it took down the whole campus's internet. And then he kicked me out of that. So then I had to start paying for server space.
So it went viral, which, I mean, what is that, couple 100,000 at the time to really crash the server?
It was about $500,000 in a week.
Okay.
And that was a big file. I mean, back then it was like, I want to say it was like 600 megabytes, which isn't big right now, but 2003, 4, 5, whatever it was, that was a pretty big file to be downloaded 500,000 times from one computer on,
crashing the college campus dorm room servers over viral videos before
it was
a thing.
It was exactly. I don't think viral might have been a term back then, but it was a video of Parrish's, or no, it wasn't Parrish. It was a C5 Z06. This guy was driving his dad's car, from what I understand, in a modified WRX. The Corvette was stock, and this girl flash started the race. They raced each other, and it was a $500 bet on the race. And they come back to the parking lot, and the guy didn't want to pay. And then he called the cops saying that the guy with the Subaru had a gun in his car.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a heavy video. I mean, of course everybody was downloading it. And again, like there was nothing else at the time. Now, I mean, there's so much at a swipe. It's like almost
just effortless. Everything's compressed and smaller files.
And now it's almost like fully switched to where it's all live. If people aren't watching the race live, they're like, there's no live feed. Come on. Like it's almost too far, because some of those live feed of racing is not the best way to consume racing in a lot of ways. We're just too antsy to wait.
Which I'm glad about, because that means we still have a business. People just want to watch the racing highlights still.
Yeah, because racing's too slow moving. It's not a football game where it's over in like an hour and a half.
Why aren't they racing? Make them start racing. What?
Like you were even talking about your, you went, or who posted it? Limpy. You guys were at that Cash Days the other night, and they were like, there wasn't a race for an hour or so.
Oh, it was at least 2, but yeah.
At a Cash Days, which seems crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's too slow moving to consume in any other way than highlight reel.
Before we move on from the past, one fun moment that I have to mention. When I was using that little Canon ELPH, my friends liked what I was putting online, and so they created a fundraiser for me to buy me my first video camera. So we had a car wash, and collectively we raised like $450, and half of that went to the Blue Cross, and half went to buying my first Sony mini DV tape camera.
Wow. So even back then, a couple cool things. Your friends were all still that involved, because even currently they're highly involved in like ice cream crews and everything like that. They're first to volunteer. But you were also planned to donate it to a charity, which you still do with ice cream crews. Huge amount of with ice cream crews, and even your walking, it seems like, which is a very interesting thing I want to talk about too.
Oh, for sure.
But that's pretty cool that you were even doing that. But to talk about the history again too is I wanted to talk about some of the characters of 1320. So there's some people that it could go either way. So the people that helped make 1320 what it is, because it took some characters to do that. But then alongside, you also built the characters. So it kind of took both happening at the same time, like a beater bomb, like a sketchy vert, like obviously everybody knows Garrett, but there's the Parrish truck, people like that. Which one do you think was maybe the biggest, most viral? Was it Willie's Jeep? I feel like that one really...
Charles with the Tesla.
Really?
Yeah. Collectively, we probably have like 15 to 20 million views across different social medias. The Jeep was definitely popular. I'd say top 3 to 5. Like for back when I first started, Parrish's blue regular cab Chevy pickup, the Cat Eye, that thing was, that was like, it was on the streets, looked stock, would drag anything off a stoplight.
Yeah, that was before I was paying attention, and then it kind of just stopped because he didn't.
Yeah, this was 2004 to 5 or 6.
That would make sense. I was in 5th grade.
Yeah,
that I didn't see Parrish's truck, but yeah, I know the videos of it just from after the fact.
Yeah, and Beater Bomb has a ton of views. Like I think we probably made 20 some videos of his car feature wise, and he's appeared in plenty of other videos. The Willys was a lot of fun. very scary, very stupid days of riding in something that we shouldn't have been riding in. But
those videos of it on the street, more mature Cooper is like that. It was a horrible idea. No roll cage whatsoever. Three-wheeling with a passenger.
Yeah.
That thing was terrifying. But it definitely got a lot of views. Every time that thing came out, it got a lot of attention for the first while, I would think.
I don't think it ever got old until he sold it. Like it was, but they were way more viral in the beginning, obviously. I think the most viral video I've had of one of my cars was the ZR1 racing him on the streets. And it wasn't a great race, but it was entertaining to watch.
Oh, yeah, I forgot it was your car, ZR1, in that clip I was thinking about. The white ZR1 Spank Bank at the time.
Yeah.
We'll still have it, but
I do.
That was definitely one of the big viral ones I think about. And then obviously people like Sketchy Vert have tons of views.
Yes.
Because he likes to drive side to side down the track.
Mm-hmm. I miss the days of feature cars. Honestly, that was my passion for this. A lot of it is uncovering unique stories, cars, events, experiences, and it's just so hard now. My hat literally says, "I'll make you famous." Like, we're not the main stars. The people on our videos are, and with the evolution of the internet, you just can't. Our last successful feature was the backwards truck from Cletus and Cars, like 5 or 6 years ago. He didn't have any social media, and he just showed up at Cletus and Cars. I'm like, how have I not seen this before? I miss that.
Yeah, it's hard to find the unique things, like the ones that people don't already know about. Has that changed the way that you make content? I mean, it had to have.
Yes, for sure.
Because you can't just build these kind of hero cars within a video.
And I got a lot of satisfaction about like helping my friends or new people I met. Like, basically, they grew a business out of a lot of these people grew businesses out of it. That wasn't my intent, but like showing the world what they have, and they can take it and run with whatever they want. It was really cool, but we definitely have had to re-strategize into different styles of content for sure.
Yeah, and then you fall into like you're filming people that are already known, and then people accuse you of cloud chasing and already known people, but it's like, well, what do you want us to do? We got to film the interesting cars, and the well-known people tend to have interesting cars. So it's like,
yeah.
But then there's definitely some rare hidden gems still, but it's definitely tough. And then your content,
you have to go international to find stuff that people haven't seen in the U.S.
But you've also done a lot more of that because you're trying to do more showing like an experience rather than just showing a race. And you've already shown these races so many times that I know it gets old for you personally, but maybe it doesn't get old for the viewer. But
it's really hard to figure out what people want to watch. You know, any YouTuber knows you're really just guessing, and then you find something that works. It might work for 2 videos, 20 videos, but it's such a moving target. It's so stressful, especially we're at a race that we either haven't been to before or we've been to 8 times and nothing cool is happening. It's one of the most stressful things about this job. You can't make something happen when you're not the content creator. You're the content filmer. Where there's not many people that film drag racing events on the scale we do. Everyone's building their own cars, and they can shape the content into what they want. We just had to wait for something cool to happen.
Yeah, there's really nobody in your position at that size. You know, there's people that film events, of course, and even like, Javier at TRC is an example of he kind of came up doing the same stuff as you.
Yeah.
But he's even ventured out to doing his own builds a lot more. And he always kind of has, but a little bit more of that because he couldn't rely on content to just pop up.
And he's stuck with the features a lot more than we have. There's a really rich car culture in Florida to pull features from. Nebraska, it's not super big.
That is true.
We got a collective city of 1 million people, and there's I don't know how many millions in this area, but there's a lot of different vehicles you can pull from down here.
Yeah, I mean, between Orlando, Miami, and Tampa, it's like a huge mecca of street cars and cool shit. And I just had Joey Heichel on, and we were kind of talking similar stuff, and there's just not a whole lot of racing in that area. And he was saying that's the problem with his no prep stuff is
Yeah.
there's just not a whole lot of cars at that caliber.
It's a very inconsistent collective group of tracks in our area that, I mean, they're different. They're 1/8 mile, 1/4 mile. They have different track formats, different stuff. It's not, there isn't like this jive like Texas tracks that all have kind of a series or like a bunch of racers in the area. So you can't get hot and heavy on having too many events throughout the year. It just dilutes things. And it's really hard not to overlap with competing events for the smaller racer group that we have in Nebraska. Is what I feel is challenging.
Yeah, and then there's only a small season on top of that.
Yeah,
Can't race all
much
year
smaller
round.
than here.
Like we kind of race all year round, but
We're roughly April to September, October. Well,
yeah.
October for sure.
It's so weird that it's not bigger in that area. You'd think like it'd be more like a Texas, Oklahoma type of scene, but
we don't have that many big cities around us. But I am very grateful for the car culture, car community in Omaha. It is very special. Like we have a really good car scene group of people out there. It's just a different flavor than everywhere else.
So when I was listening to you guys did your first podcast, I really appreciated you opening up more about the fear of, maybe not the fear is the right word, but how sketchy it is riding in people's cars with them. Because I only did it with you one time, I think, maybe 2 nights at TX2K, where I tried to film other people's cars.
What was that like?
Terrifying. I'm looking back and I'm like mad at myself that I did that because I'm like, what an idiot.
Yeah.
Like those cars
We are idiots.
Those cars were terrifying.
It's nerve-wracking for sure, but like that's what a lot of people know our channel for is, oh, you're the guy that rides in the cars. I'm like, yeah, I used to be. I don't say that, but like I don't do it that much anymore.
I understand. It's a lot easier to put a GoPro or 2 in a car. And like at a drag strip, you wouldn't even think about getting in a car.
I would.
But like it's not really allowed for the most part, but you wouldn't like, nobody would think to like hop in a car at a drag strip for the most part. It would just be putting GoPros on.
I've only ridden in a couple cars at the drag strip. There was one in Australia. There was this car that was made out of wood. It had like a wood body, like literally wood panels around it. And the drag strip owner's like, here you go, hop in. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, sure.
And the seat's barely, like the seat's like this. Like he launches, I'm like, oh my God. And then also I rode in a turbo SN95 on Drag Week. We were chasing, I don't know how we talked him into letting us do this. We were chasing John Huber in his 4-cylinder SVO Mustang. And so we launched a little ahead of him, and then he did this wheelie past us. And we were supposed to just film the wheelie and then let out of it, but my friend decided to go like at 8:30 with me in the passenger seat, and we pulled up with the time slip booth. He goes, you did what with a passenger? I'm like, idiot. I don't care. It was great.
I mean, once you get into like a car like that can go like 7s easily, I'd assume. It's pretty quick to just, oh shoot, I didn't even realize we clicked off at 8:30. Yeah, my bad. Whoops. Like even like you get in like one of Garrett's faster cars, like it'd go 7 real easily. You wouldn't even realize.
Lucas English I hopped into at the Colorado half mile, and he thought it wasn't a great pass, so we get the time slip. It was like 225 miles an hour. I'm like, all right, well, that didn't seem too scary.
Was it in the GTR or was it in the... Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I missed that event.
Which one, the Colorado half mile? Yeah. Is there just nothing else in Colorado now? Are they just getting rid of all Colorado racing slowly?
I hope not. I'm really excited for Bannermere's to reopen a track. I hope it happens soon because that area needs a good track. Not saying Pueblo's a bad track. They have a great surface. They prep it amazing. But nothing's ever going to be like Bandamere was. I miss it. Like Rocky Mountain Race Week, driving through the mountains with race cars was one of my favorite events of all time.
Yeah, I feel bad for, Matt Frost and June, of course, too, that lost that. Like, they didn't just lose the track, they lost that. Driving through the mountains because you don't really have to if you're not going to.
Yeah.
And I guess things that put you on the map, which, again, they go hand in hand. As you put them on the map, it also put you. Would be the race week stuff. you were one of the early adopters for filming that. Probably you. And
So were you. You were on, what, the second one, I think?
No, I wasn't on that early.
No?
Garrett went on a few, but I never went with him. There was one where Alec went with him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I didn't go on that one.
Yeah.
And then those seemed like a real boom in traffic. And
that was the second drag and drive.
yes.
There were no other drag and drives. Drag Week and Rocky Mountain Race Week. And Rocky Mountain Race Week got some heat about copying Drag Week's format. And now look at drag and drives.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
They would be pissed if they, now, I mean, if they were mad at the time, they would be real mad at Tom Bailey for just, I mean, he just lit the whole world on fire.
Oh, yeah.
With having 14 on his first year, it felt like.
Yeah, insane.
But without you filming that stuff early on, because you weren't filming drag weeks, right?
No, I filmed Drag Week starting in 2005.
Oh, really?
The first one.
I didn't realize you filmed them that long.
Yeah, I was actually, Parrish with that blue pickup truck. He's like, hey, there's this event in Hot Rod Magazine. He was like, show me it on the pages of Hot Rod Magazine. Like, I'm thinking about going there. I was like, 5 days at different drag strips. That seems like a lot of time. I don't know if this is going to be very exciting. And then I go there. I'm like, this is freaking cool. There's like 42 cars, but they're all unique, and they all want to be in Hot Rod Magazine, and they were just there to party.
Okay,
It's a
so
great time.
when you got there, what else was kind of going on? I know early on people were talking there was some real shady stuff with like people towing machine shops, basically.
Well, I wouldn't call it shady. People were just following the rules, you know. Parrish brought his entire shop with him. He had a welder. He had like 2 drums of race gas. Like, there was no rules against it.
Yeah.
You can pull a trailer behind your car. Then the next year they put trailer size limits on there.
You could tow any trailer at that point.
Exactly. He just had this big tarp over all of his everything, and everyone was coming to him asking for stuff.
And
the shady stuff was we caught someone trailering their car, and a few people had said that they saw him drive behind a building, and then the trailer comes out the other side like half hour later or whatever. And so we followed him the last night, and after like 6 or 7 hours of us creeping on this guy, he loaded up in the trailer, and that was it.
do you think it was more exciting at that time with the uncertainty versus currently where there's so much certainty? Because now, you know, with social media and stuff, if you have a breakdown, you post on social media. And
the rules have gotten very loose. Let's be honest. People aren't really, it's not by the books. It's the spirit of drag and drives has been a little lost. But I don't know the right way to say it. It's just not as policed as much anymore.
Yeah.
There's so many cars. It's just a fun hangout, and I love what it is now.
Well, I told
it
that
doesn't
to
need to
Derek
be
Putnam.
that serious. But if you're blatantly breaking the rules, you should be kicked out.
Yeah. But I guess it's just more how difficult should you make it on the drivers? Is it too easy now for the drivers?
Yeah, there's a safety factor too. So it's a fine balance for sure.
Yeah, when people are trying to go 5s,
Yeah.
you kind of let some things.
But regardless, if you're running 5s and driving 1,000 miles, I don't really care how easy it is. If you're driving your car, that's freaking amazing.
Yeah. And
Or 6s or 7s, that's crazy.
And there's few that have ever done a 5. Many that have done 6s now.
Is Tom the only one so far?
That has done a 5 or averaged 5s.
No one's averaged
No
5s.
one's
I think there's
averaged.
only been 1 5 on a drag and drive in competition. I think Jeff Lutz did one in testing
Yeah.
before
Yep.
he started driving. So, I mean, technically the first day you could run a 5, but I don't think he did. I forget.
And Larson's not done it.
He ran a 5 in his truck at Streetcar Supernats the week after Drag Week, but not in competition.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's only been Tom Bailey.
Brett was, 300ths away?
Yeah, won a 603.
What a loser.
I know.
That car's so impressive.
Yeah.
That might be my favorite, like, crazy street car I've ever seen.
But
just
there's green belt.
because. Nice. Every time you talk about Brett's car,
Yeah, he gets the green bell.
I love it.
There's a La Sala bell. The car gets brought up a lot because it's stupid. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. The car's stupid, but he is just so meticulous. Like, I feel like he just dreams about his car all day, and then he goes, like, all night, and then he goes and works on it all day.
Yeah.
He probably works a little bit here and there.
So an example of how crazy he was, he broke his car at TX2K. The engine was hurt.
Yeah.
It needed to be replaced. He came home from TX2K after that, 12 qualifiers, a full week. And then he wanted to go run LDR at the Rock. So he changed the trans ratio, the rear gearing, put a new motor in it, and then went to Rockingham to run LDR the next weekend.
So he had like 2 days or a day and a half to do all of this?
To do all that. And then he was in LDR trim.
Insane.
Different gear ratios in the trans and the diff. And then up there, I was talking to Jim. I was like, why is he such a psycho, man? Like, chill out. Like, we're all trying to just keep up here.
We've kind of gotten used to him after this long, but watching Jim at TX2K was so satisfying. He was just having the race of his life.
Yep.
That was cool.
And then watching him win at the reunion yesterday, which was nice also.
Yeah.
That was fun. So what do you prefer? Do you like the track better, or would you prefer the street?
I love the streets.
Till like 5 a.m.
I love the streets. I don't love the streets when there's no racing, but I don't know. Like, there's just something about it. Yeah, Caches is where it's at. I love roll racing too. I'm just scared of the possibilities of wrecking in someone's car.
And when you say roll racing, you are talking on a highway, not the roll
You
racing.
get so much racing done. Like this past TX2K, we're going to be releasing the video in a few weeks. The editors are taking their time on it because it's going to be so epic. We had probably the best roll racing night and week in the past 10 years.
Do you have a
maybe
name
8 to
for
10
it
years.
yet? Don't they always have a name?
We used to name them when we did DVDs.
I thought you named one of the YouTube videos
Like
too.
Boosted Nights or, yeah. We stopped doing that when we stopped doing the DVDs.
I feel like we should bring back some
not a
naming.
bad
It'd be
idea.
kind of exciting
Yeah,
to
that's not a bad idea.
intro with like the Boosted Nights always like kind of hit. And there was a couple other ones that I feel
It was Texas Street's first one, then Texas Street's like Invasion, Boosted Nights. It was so hard to come up with new names after a while.
Yeah.
But this one was just a dream. And we have Reese, our new videographer that has joined the team that week. Like his first day was TX2K. And you know what it was like back. It was a little more less sleep back when you helped out. But it's still very grueling and there's more days now. But he had one of my top 5 best nights ever in the cars he rode in.
That's awesome.
Like he rode in like 7 cars in one night.
Did you tell him this is every weekend. This is every time we film.
I said this is not normal. You do not. You're already jaded. Like this. He's a huge Mustang fan.
Okay.
He's got a Fox body with a blower on it, and he rode in a Ford GT, just like a bolt-on's Ford GT, and he was just on cloud 9.
Just a bolt-on Ford GT.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
the old one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
good
good one.
The good one. No one sees the new one and they're like, damn. Well,
No.
you don't see them anyways, but
Yeah, I rode in Schmeez, and that was a treat. It was very cool, but it wasn't. It was just an exotic car or a hyper car.
the old ones are just so good. And there's few that are really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mullets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hefner has one too.
Yes.
Sitting under a tarp, and I'm like,
Yes.
can you please bring this out? And you know him, he's going to put Motec traction control and all this stuff that car needs. And it's going to be stupid fast. And
You don't want to wreck one. They're worth as much as a house.
I watched a guy wreck one on a road course. I watched a guy come through on his first lap, cold tires, and back it into a wall. It was painful. Yellow with white stripes. It was just like, ugh. Yeah, it hurt.
Burned into your brain.
It hurt, yeah.
Weren't you there with Garrett Cletus at that half mile where the car went off in the water?
We were there the day before.
Oh, okay.
We weren't there that day.
Okay.
Where one of the
Oh, he got that video from someone else there.
Yeah.
That's right.
that was the OB Prestige car
Yeah.
at the time when they used to roll up with like the huge team of people and
Yeah.
all that stuff. It's funny how that happens, like in the high level expensive cars, the teams kind of come and go a little more, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And the money comes and goes a little bit more.
Yeah, he's an interesting person. He has a really big, car, like exotic hypercar collection up in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And he, if I remember right, he built those cars and had like his friends or family or both, I don't know, drive them. He drove one of them, but like there were several drivers for different cars in the team.
Yeah.
That's cool. But that was back when people were just figuring out those cars at that power level. So like they were pushing the limits.
Yeah, there wasn't many. I mean, seeing like a twin turbo Huracan was like, wow.
And one mistake at 230 miles an hour is scary.
Yeah, I don't really love a standing half mile to begin with. They're kind of, especially one of those because there's some fluid on the track and they just don't even know because they're not like a drag strip. They don't do that every day.
Yeah.
They're trying to get cars down the track and they overlook that stuff. And then cars end up going into the pit. And that one too, some kids were at the top end throwing rocks at the cars at that half mile. They'd like shut it down. They're like, hey, there's some kids up there throwing pebbles at the cars as they come by or rocks or something. I was like, oh, great. Really good.
Dang. They were that close that they could get him over there? Holy cow.
I don't know. I guess so. I guess they were throwing something at it.
Every half mile had different safety rules.
What's your take on the roll racing on the track then, I guess? So you've filmed that
Which
for
flavor?
a long time.
At TX2K? Or,
yeah.
I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's great. It's definitely not like the streets, for sure. And going back to that, I love the roll racing on the streets because you can hop in one car and you can get 15 races in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that at the track.
That's crazy, too. I mean, they're hot lapping the shit out of those things.
But it's so much different when you're in a fire suit, in a helmet, at the track. You got walls on the sides. You have to start at one point. You have to end at one point. If you're going to close race, you're going to go to 200 miles an hour on the street.
Yeah.
You don't want to let out.
And the shutdown is endless.
Unlimited.
Yeah.
Depending on the road.
Yeah.
But that's one of the sketchy parts about roll racing on the street. I usually have, I've learned to have my maps up in between, like I'll put it on the seat and I'll look down as we're about to start a race. And I'll make sure the stretch of road's at least straight in front of me. Because if I'm with someone that's not from the area, they have no idea if there's a turn ahead. But there's lots of bridge transitions that come out of nowhere, and that's really scary.
Yeah, I mean, I think it happened one time where Jonathan Cash ended up going off the on-ramp with the parachute out because they ran out of real estate.
Yeah.
And they were just, there was nothing they could do. They were just like, oh, well, we better dump the chute and try to save this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of stuff is kind of what happens. And then you guys are even talking about fires on the street and things like that.
Yes. What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. But
is there cars that you are try to convince to come out to the street? Like you see somebody like a Aaron Miller with his Moto Viper and you're like, hey, bud, that thing would be really cool.
No. I'm over that. I prefer 600 to 900 horsepower cars because they're less scary and you get so many more runs in. If you get like these 1800 horsepower Vipers and Lambos and Supras, they're like, they'll sit in a parking lot and negotiate terms and money and where they're going to do it. And then you get in the car and the boost pipe pops off and there goes 3 hours of your time. But with a supercharged Viper, you go out there and just rip it over and over and over and over.
And it doesn't matter to the viewer. The viewer's seeing the same thing.
Not really. I mean, it's cool to see really loud cars skating all over the road and doing crazy stuff. But close races are where it's at. I love it when you're just filming the car right there and it's not moving. It's like back and forth. That's my favorite. And in our podcast, we're talking about our most memorable moments. Matt and I were in this race with the GTR and Lambo, and it was 200 and some miles an hour, just like they were like back and forth, almost hitting each other. That was fun, but also really scary.
Some of the earlier stuff, I couldn't believe watching one. I was watching just some earlier stuff recently because CJ, my son, is so into watching racing that we'll just turn it on in the morning and the DVDs are perfect because there's a lot of action. So we watch back because they're all on YouTube now. So we watch back a bunch of those and I couldn't believe how many GTRs there were in some of those. Yeah. It was so flooded with GTRs.
Yeah, that's what TX2K turned into. And the streets aren't quite like that anymore.
Probably better that there's not that many GTRs. It was like Fox bodies at a
We like variety. We try not to hop like this year's TX2K, I think we hopped in like 6 BMWs in 2 days between the 5 of us. And we decided, okay, no more BMWs. There were some really fast BMWs, like 800 to 1,200 horsepower. There was a like 900 horsepower convertible out there racing. He was mopping up.
Well, I watched one of the videos the other day, and it was a Supra on the streets of like Chicago, maybe. That was like an A90.
Oh yeah.
Talking BMWs, I think A90 also. But I was super impressed by how fast that thing was.
That was a good night.
That seemed like a really good night of racing too. I couldn't believe how many cars there were of high caliber.
There was a guy there that set up a race at the track and on the streets for us. And I hadn't had a real good night of roll racing for a while, and he put together a small group of people that were just down to go have fun, safe. We're careful with who we associate ourselves with because there are some really reckless people out there. It's not safe, but we try and keep it as safe as possible. But that was a really good night. I was actually riding in a car, and the guy split the packs into two different groups to make it less congested and less of a like police magnet. And we raced everyone in the group, and they were like, "Where's that car at?" We slowed down to like 40 miles an hour in a 70 zone for 10 minutes, and then we realized the pack was like a half hour behind us. And like, anyway.
Yeah, well, that's the other flip side of street racing is when you go, 100 plus for a certain amount of time, you get pretty far from the rest of the people.
The heydays of TX2K. I started in 2010. That ended about 15. Meet at the Omni. There's like 300 people there, and one guy sets up a race with 3 people. Those 3 people set up a race with 3 people, and 10 minutes later, you have a group of 40 cars go out that are all like 800 to 1,000 horsepower because they all figure out which match. And then you hit I-10, go west, and we race for like 30 minutes. And then lots of times we run into cops on the way back, and it takes us like 50 minutes to get back at the speed limit because we're going like average 100 miles an hour that way.
Yeah, you go so fast. I mean, I remember the one year I was there, people were sending locations. They're like, "Oh, come here," and we're on the other side of Houston. It's like, well,
yeah, it's a big moving target at that point.
It takes like 3 hours to get to where you're at. Like that's the rest of the night at a speed limit.
And I miss the days of racing on I-10. There was just like street racing in general from like 07 to 15. That was just like the peak of just carefree. It's never gonna be the same.
Makes me sad a little bit. I mean, I got a son, so I'm not really planning to go out street racing till 4 a.m. Maybe when he's older, I can relive.
Different. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's
TX2K was the closest thing I've had to that this past year. And the first day was horrible. We got blocked in by 12 undercover cops. I was like, all right, this whole week's gonna suck. So when we went to Yellow Belly, that was amazing. Have you been to Yellow Belly?
No.
You have to go to Yellow Belly.
I know. Jimmy has a race in April.
And yes, go.
Like I need to go.
Go. You will love it. You kind of need to. So go early. Go Thursday, and experience the true Yellow Belly.
Their testing dune. Yeah. How was it?
It's just like street racing, like in the hood. It's like
there's no
at
track
the pad or racing in Compton. It was mixed with TX2K people, so it was a little different. But it's there are a few track staff, but they're spread thin. It's just the most raw, legal racing experience you can get at a drag strip, as far as I can tell.
It always looks cool. It always looks very cool, very sketchy. People are standing very far down the track.
About 150 feet when we were there. Cundy was down there.
Sketchy.
That was the biggest crowd I've seen there. It was massive, but it's good anytime. But we made a video just of like the 3 or 4 hours we were there, and then we went out and stayed out till like 6 in the morning. It was a great night then, and then the next 2 nights were crazy. And that Saturday was just, I think I have like 350 clips just from Saturday, and I saved them on my laptop as we were driving back to the hotel because I was like, this can't get lost.
Yeah, these are that important.
There's those moments where you're like, this has to make it safely into a video.
That's so funny. I mean, I was like, me and Garrett were always just looking for like one clip when it was just me and him there, because at that time, our focus wasn't like an overarching video. It was just like, oh, you just need like 1 or 2 good moments. You can clickbait a video, and that's all you need. Yeah. Do you see that in any other countries, the street racing like that?
I didn't know how much I had influence to the Australians. They street race occasionally, but I didn't know this for a couple of years, but they really just put street races together for when I was there because that's what I did. And it was a little outside of their normal behavior, but it's very, very illegal there and very sketchy. Trying to think of, like the UK doesn't really do it either. They're like called a nanny state. Like Australia and UK are very similar. Like lots of control, lots of monitoring.
You'll never see your car again. In Australia if you got caught street racing
for sure.
Like it's gone.
Puerto Rico, we went street racing. Didn't like that much. The roads suck, and I didn't notice right off the bat. But some of the drivers are drinking. It's just a thing that they just drink and cruise, and they were doing it at the race. I was like, okay, we can't do this.
Kind of matches the stereotype.
And not everyone, just a couple of guys.
Just a couple of drivers.
I love Puerto Ricans. They're some of my favorite people. I love going there. If you meet a Puerto Rican anywhere in the world, they're great.
Oh, I mean, my co-pilot on Sick Week was Puerto Rican, and somehow he knew every Puerto Rican we met on the journey. He just knew them all already.
This is their second home. Like, a lot of them migrated here after different hurricanes, and it's one of the closest states. So.
It was great. He was a great co-pilot, you know?
Yeah.
Just got to have a Puerto Rican sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So other street racing, I mean, Stockholm, obviously.
Oh,
but they don't.
God.
That's not the street racing we're talking about. Ish.
The best street racing on earth is in Stockholm. I miss that event. We do want to go back, but they've been doing that event since the year I was born, 1982.
Oh, wow.
And they've had it almost every year, and they took it to the track for a couple of years, but it went back to the streets last year. And for the first time ever, they moved it to a different weekend to throw the police off. So I really want to go back. That is literally, and the people in Stockholm, like we have so many friends over there I miss seeing. That is my favorite street race of all time.
Is it because of the car caliber or because of how they set it up?
No, the car caliber is a little slower. But they're kind of like, and they've progressed quite a bit lately, but when we first started going there, it was kind of like a snapshot in time, like 7 to 10 years back. Lots of big block nitrous cars, carbureted cars. There was a little bit of newer turbo technology, some blow-through setups.
Listening to some like 90s rock and roll only.
Yeah. Lots of weird cars, the Opals and lots of weird stuff.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about that one many a times, and your excitement about it is noted.
Yeah, I've got chills thinking about it.
It's crazy that it's that good. I mean, it's just crazy to think that. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to imagine.
It's like the most lawless thing you can do. They literally block the highway off with hundreds of people, race a pair of cars, and then they disappear. And then they go meet up another random spot and take another pair of cars, block the road off. And every highway there has a metal divider, so the cops can't get across. There's been a couple times where they came the wrong way down the highway to catch them.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Sketchy. So, compared to street racing?
Yeah. I mean,
there was a race that went into them.
That's what I mean. Somebody coming head on at you really levels up the danger a little bit. And we've seen that stuff at TX2K in videos where somebody's drunk and coming head on at cars or doing something stupid because there's just a pedestrian that's drunk or
and TX2K, up until about 15, 16, 17, I'm fairly certain the police knew everything. They knew what was going on, and they could tell that it was being done fairly responsibly, if that makes any sense. And then there was a few different factors that happened, but there were accidents where people died related to street racing and not related to street racing. The Houston Rodeo, I don't know if it was always been like this, but overlaps with TX2K when it was there, and there were some drunk people that wrecked. There were just some random people speeding that wrecked and ran into a random car. But also there were literally thousands of cars trying to race all over the city during the peak of it. And and there were people that just didn't know what they were doing. Yeah. And just wanted to be part of the cool crowd. And that's one of the negative things about what we do in publicizing it is we don't want that to happen. Like, like I said, we're careful about who we associate with, and we try to do it as a safe manner as possible, even though it is illegal and not safe.
It really gets bad when people just try to follow along to watch.
Bikes especially. I hate when bikes follow roll races. Yeah. It's never good.
They always want to race. I don't understand it.
They always want to be there to watch it. And so, like, I was with J-Rod, and we raced someone, and there was a this bike swerved over 3 lanes and slammed on the brakes for some reason. And we literally were on skinnies. And we came up over a hill and did like an endo on the highway at like 100 miles an hour. That was scary.
Was it in the Supra?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was scary.
Yeah, people on bikes, they just always get in the middle of it for no reason. No one wants to race a bike. I don't care what CC
A few
it
cars
is.
do. Some cars really want that on there.
I can't imagine
Feather in their hat.
I can't imagine caring, no matter what that bike's got,
Yeah.
turbo, this, that.
It's fine if it's just a bike and a car and that's it. But if you have a pack of cars rolling around, there are a few riders like John Vaughn. He was really good. Like he would literally shoo off the idiot bike riders, and he would protect us. He knew how to be around a pack of cars safely. But these other guys just weave in and out. Yeah. Anyway,
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
yeah,
He always seemed like he was.
he was a character.
Yeah.
We love John Vaughn.
I remember the suit at
Oh my,
some of the events
oh my gosh, he randomly showed up at Houston. Yeah.
with the suit on.
Who's got the suit on down there? Why doesn't he have an undershirt? Oh, it's John Vaughn.
Yeah, I remember him
I
from
hope
all
he's doing
the
good.
early videos. But then, like, talking about characters again, because that one's very interesting to me. What other characters do the races also become their own character as well? Because I feel like some of what you did put these races on a map enough where they're titles for other people's videos.
Yeah.
Like
War in the
TX2K
Woods.
is a good title for a video because of the legwork. Hopefully Peter doesn't hear this because of the legwork you did.
It's definitely a partnership.
I know, of course he did a lot.
We have hundreds, if not thousands, of people that come to TX2K just to take a picture with us, to buy our merchandise, to meet us. It's like I've accrued a lot of fans down in Texas because of that. A lot of people think we're from Texas because we go down there so much. But definitely, like it's been a great partnership for 16 years that we've grown together, for sure.
And then, of course,
War in the Woods is one that definitely, like, we went there when it was called, it wasn't called War in the Woods originally. You remember? I don't know. It was after Streetcar Takeover, I think. They just randomly had a no prep at the end of Streetcar Takeover. We showed up at like 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. The track was not ready for it. They were not ready for it. There was this flood of people, and I don't know how many races we got off, but this white truck, maybe an S10, this is back before they paved more of the center of the track and took some of the trees out towards the top end. He like slid into a tree at 100 miles an hour and just like folded his truck.
Oh, yeah, I remember that video.
And he broke a finger and that was it.
Oh,
It was a very scary accident.
wow. That's
And now
almost
it's turned into this monster of an event. And now Jeff owns the track.
Yeah, Jeff.
cool.
I was wondering if he owned it at the time, but he doesn't.
No. I think it was like, from what I understand, it was like a struggling track. It really didn't have that many big races. And now there's these crazy no preps that happen there.
I mean, it kind of looks like a struggling track a little bit. Like,
But that's what makes it good.
yeah, it's like a little backwoods track. It's awesome, but it doesn't.
If they put grandstands all the way down the track on the side of the hill, it wouldn't be as cool.
And then
I want to go to George Ray's. Have you ever been to George Ray's?
no. What's there?
It's just like Urban Hillbilly. That's what they had this clip of this guy drinking a beer next to like a Camaro during a burnout. And it was just like the most redneck thing. It was from George Ray's, and it's this track that has like a little bridge over the burnout box. And it's like there's a bunch of trees. I just have pictures of it from social media. I've never been there, but I want to go really bad. That's like
Where
one
is
of my
it?
last bucket. I think it's in Arkansas. Maybe.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that track.
There's a few tracks left on my bucket list, but that's one of them.
You see, I'm kind of a princess when it comes to track. I like a lot of prep and stuff. So, it limits me a little bit just because I'm such a princess. I don't have slick tires for my car or do any non-radial prep stuff. So
We like sketchy stuff.
I know.
Because
and
we're filming.
I'm like, man, I really need to get a little sketchier in my life, I feel like.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe I just need a slower
Don't
car.
let me influence you.
Yeah, because sometimes I have this concept that these cars are way faster than they are, and then I hear how fast they are, and I'm like, oh, it's a little less sketchy, I guess.
Yeah, sometimes you just can't be fast on a bad surface, like Cletus's race.
Yeah.
Or I went to the TRC race last night. That is the worst top end surface I've ever seen.
That's always my thing. Like, or OSW top end is not good.
It's some of the chunkiest asphalt I've ever seen, and then like the actual asphalt, other than not the rocks, is like smoothed below the rocks, so it just tears up the tires.
It's also, well, you guys saw it with people there. It's also one of the scariest top ends, like darkest you've ever been.
The lighting
to.
wasn't bad. The problem is the tracks, they point the lights down the track for when you're racing the right direction, the normal direction. So when you're going this way, you're racing into the lights. It's the wrong thing to do at night.
Yeah.
So it's pretty well lit down there, and they set up some generator lights. It was really well put together race. I was impressed. They had 200 and some cars.
Yeah.
Probably 7,000 spectators there. It was a really cool environment.
That's awesome. I'm happy to see that for Javier.
Yeah.
I know it was him and Sinister also
Yep.
that put that together, Mike Corley.
Yeah, definitely. Javier does a lot of promotions. Some of their staff helps run it, but Mike does most of the race coordination along with OSW.
Yeah, and then
It
you
was
just
a big staff of people. They did an amazing job.
run the one event a year though.
Yeah, we do, for racing wise, we do Ice Cream Cruise and we do Hot Summer Nights, but we were thinking about doing some other ones.
I'd like to see an ice cream cruise south. I think that's what we really need to really drive home here, like a Freedom Factory BMP locational.
You know,
I know the owners. If you need a contact.
yeah, I hear they're assholes though.
That's true. Yeah.
I've had a lot of fun in Florida here, especially down there. It was a great time, but it's been on my mind. I really want to take Ice Cream Cruise on the road. I just don't know what it's going to take to do that correctly, because Ice Cream Cruise is what it is because it's built up over the last 20 years into what it is, and the staff is what it is because it's my friends and their friends and their friends. I do want to do some sort of event. I just trying to figure out what that is.
Yeah.
There's so many different things that we can expand into right now, and that's what I'm putting a lot of effort into right now, is just trying to figure out what directions to push, because there's so many different avenues we could go down. It's hard to say.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about was you filming a little less than you had in the past, which is cool, and I think a lot of YouTubers would be envious of that position, to where you have these teams that you can send out. You know, like you can just send Fred somewhere, and he'll figure
I've been
it
able
out.
to send Fred anywhere for a long time. He's very independent, very good. But I'm growing the whole team to be independent with or without me, so that I can spend some time. Like, it's really hard when we're on the road for 5 days. I go home for 3, get ready for the next trip, get as much paperwork, HR, behind the scenes, whatever stuff done in between. Like, I don't have any mental capacity to take on anything else.
Yeah.
So to have 2 weeks at home back to back is very invaluable for me to be able to steer the company in the right direction. So I'm trying to peel off a little bit, still go to the core events I need to be at, but re-strategizing is important to me right now, because I've been doing it for 22 years. My media career up until now is at least 10 or 11 years tenured. And now we have Reese, who just joined, who's amazing. And just going to continue growing the team so I can figure out what's next. Events is something on the top of my mind for sure. But I just, Ice Cream Cruise is something very unique and special. Definitely want to try something like that. But I'm just, there has to be some sort of evolution of racing that I haven't thought about yet. I've helped uncover a few different things in the past, like No Prep King of the Streets, really helped publicize that. And that was way before it was called a No Prep.
Yep. And
now it's insane. I was at the first Dragon Drive. I'm not taking credit for this, but our media channel helps shape what streetcar racing is. I'm very grateful for that. But what streetcar racing is in the Midwest or worldwide, honestly, we have a lot of influence in. I just feel like there's something new or different that could be done that I'd like to start myself. I just don't know what that is.
I definitely hear what you're saying, and even thinking about that too. Like, you were filming the Street Outlaws guys before they were Street Outlaws.
Yeah, me and Big Rob were filming them, and Jared Gwines, Rice Killer, filmed the first 2 cash days. I came in on the 3rd one, and then like 7 or 8 years later, Big Chief called me. He's like, "Hey Kyle, what do you think about this idea?" I was like, I mean, sounds like you need an attorney, but I would definitely take advantage of that.
So Big Chief called you that they were looking at doing that. Somebody
reached out and pitched them on the idea, and they were thinking about having a TV show about street racing. And all I knew about TV shows and street racing or news is you just don't don't approach that topic because they never spin it the right way. So I was like, that would be my main concern is, like, I assume if it's going to be a TV show about them, they're not going to make them look like idiots. And it went very well how it went. Like, it was really cool to see how that grew into what it was. And it'll never be the same as it was back in those days. Like, it was so literally carefree. These guys were just like when I first started filming. They were street racing just for the passion of it. Yeah. The money was just to give them a reason to be a little more serious about it. But there was a Texas-Oklahoma grudge, and they just twice a year just get together and street race.
Well, all of them, I mean, they were only doing it. They had no money at the time to really be doing it. They were just like guys that wanted to street race. Mm-hmm. And the cars were not that impressive compared to what they ended the show with. Like, the stark contrast of when they had, TV contracts versus before was pretty wild to see. It was like, some Fox bodies, stock suspension,
like 360s, maybe even deeper than that. I don't know what, they didn't ever show times on No Prep Kings, but
oh yeah, they were probably in the guys, 60s.
Yeah, I mean, Chief was going 90s in like 17 or 18 when he went to Lights Out. Mm-hmm. I think it was the first time he went in the threes. But I'm really excited for how that's treated those guys. It sucks for me because I miss those days of being able to film them on the streets. Yeah. Like, I would see them here and there, like maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, and then it just started dwindling. And then the last 4 or 5 years, you just don't see them on the streets.
Would you say there's like a new group though?
Oh yeah.
Now that are like the small tire kind of small tire gangster.
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to be swallowed up by a TV show. Like, there's a lot of characters in the small tire scene.
Yeah, that almost seems like the TV show needs to, I wouldn't say leave who they have, but like restart with like
they are trying to pivot right now.
A fresh low budget group of people because, they built their budget up too much and it made it too
I don't know the details of what's going on, but there's a lot of changes that have happened behind the scenes, and I'm sure some things will be changing over the next couple of years. Yeah. What the TV show looks like or what it is.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of...
We just released that Farm Truck and Asian episode, and there's a few people on the show that just are the same people they've always been. Yep. Asian is such a smart guy. Like, I reach out to him every once in a while for advice on stuff. He designed some of our shirts. He was literally there hustling T-shirts at the first Cash Days I was out of the back of a minivan.
I always like those guys too. They're
Boosted GT, one of my favorites all time. Like, yep. He's been competitive here and there, but he's just a character, and he's just the same goofy dude he's always been.
I even like watching every time like I see old stuff about Chuck, because like I'll see like one of his Hondas pop up in like an old photo of him with it, and I'm like,
he's a Honda guy.
So cool in a way that he had like a front wheel drive, like pro front wheel drive car. Yeah. Like, that makes it just so funny,
Yeah, he was a Honda guy. Tony from T1 was a Honda shop to begin with.
He kind of still is. Bit of a Honda guy. They're still racers. He's still a racer.
Yeah. Big Chief was betting at World Street Nationals like 06, 07, something like that. When I was down there on the top of Neil Chance's RV with some of my friends. I think that was like either right before or right after they were on Pinks. Something like that. Maybe it was 05.
Do you have events that you would like to film that are just not worth filming? Like, you'd like to film them yearly, but it's just like the viewership just doesn't make sense. The people don't want to watch it.
It's hard to grow out of my comfort zone because it's expensive to travel to East Coast, West Coast. There are events there, but the drag racing in the Midwest is like the richest area. You get a lot of racer turnout. But I do want to experience more outside of the Midwest. That's a big area that's been undiscovered for me. But there isn't as many races you can go to and have a good turnout. But I do need to explore some more of those areas. I really want to go street racing on the East Coast. I've never done that. And I avoided East Coast, West Coast for years because all the videos I ever saw was them just arguing in a parking lot.
You've never been to like the New Jersey or Maryland racing area?
Not for street racing.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, obviously you've been to World Cup.
Yeah.
But like never been to
No.
That's surprising. I figured
I've been talking to a few people about something this year. We'll see.
There's definitely some stuff out there.
There's one of my favorite street racing clips ever is this white G body in New York. It's on like feeder road or like an on-ramp, and it goes underneath the sign for, I think, the airport. I forget which airport. It has like a couple different directions. And this white G-body launches and does a wheelie for like an 1/8 mile underneath the sign and comes back down.
Huh.
And I want to go see that. Like it was literally in like 2003 when I saw that clip.
Yeah, I know of some street racers still up in that northeast area. It's definitely not very popular.
It's really tricky to get into different areas, street racing cultures, and figure out who to trust to go hang out with, because some people are just doing it for clout, and some people don't know how to run races, or they're just like very casual about what they do. And when they mentioned to like 2 people that 1320 is going to come film it, all of a sudden there's 1,000 spectators, and they don't know what to do to control the situation and make the racing happen, when it's usually just them and their friends racing. I think we saw a little bit of that this weekend, and it made it really tough. But I would love to explore more of the street racing world, but I'm very cautious about it, because technology and social media and cameras and stuff like that have evolved so much that I feel like there's a very short time on our ability to go enjoy these experiences in a safe way without people getting in serious trouble.
Have you documented any street takeovers, the latest and greatest in street racing?
I'm careful about what I say, because I don't want to hurt our business and from our general fan base that we have, but I am confident that they are the single worst thing to happen to car culture in my generation, in my lifetime. It's just ruined the reputation of what street car, or just modified cars in general, are. And Australia saw a similar problem years ago, and in Australia, it's looked down upon to modify cars. Like it's a subculture that's looked down upon from the general public. And I think that's changed a little bit, but that's what we're going towards, because people see the media covering that, and they don't cover like the stuff that we do.
They call it street racing.
They do, because that's what, and I've literally explained this. Like, I was actually sitting at a restaurant with some police at TX2K, and they didn't know who we were. And I sat down and jokingly said, "You know where the street racing's at tonight?" And they just laughed. I was like, "Probably not around here, because whatever." And he said, "We're starting to understand that the burnout kids and the street racers are 2 different groups of people." And I think that's why it was such a bad experience the first year in Ennis. They literally just harassed anybody with a modified car. The police were ruthless about it. And they did a little bit this year, but it wasn't nearly as bad. Like Yellow Belly, the Grand Prairie Police Department, had like 12 police officers pulling over anything, dark tint, parachutes in front of license plates, non-DOT tires, or DOT tires that didn't look like it. And I fear that modified cars are going to be unaccepted in culture in America at some point, or I think I don't think the general public's understanding it's different now, but some people are.
Just starting to get slightly demonized a little bit because of things like that. I mean, you see these videos and they're taking out light poles, and they're crashing into pedestrians.
Yeah.
It's absolutely heinous, that side of things. And
when we were at TX2K, there was a burnout party like a half hour from the track. The cops were telling me about someone's head got ran over.
It's just like, it's such a bad look for modified car owners. That's really what it just comes down to. It makes us all look bad. And I hate seeing cars like, I like CTS V2s, and now they're at a price.
Oh no!
That they're used in takeovers.
They're all getting wrecked now. Oh man!
Because once it's like a $30,000 car, $25,000 car, it's takeover worthy now.
And I was thinking that maybe the increase in popularity of burnout contests and skid pads being poured at drag strips was going to help with this, but it's not the same groups of people that are doing it on the street versus at the track. It's not.
You think that popularity is growing in burnouts, or you think it peaked in the U.S.?
I think we're just getting started.
You think so?
Yeah.
I didn't know if we had a lot of momentum, but then it kind of hit like a bit of a ceiling.
I don't think so. I think we're going to see some pretty big things.
Because I know there's a lot of Australians still sending cars over every now and then.
Yeah. Oh, it's just started. Australians love America.
Yeah,
They
do.
love America. Like Dragon Drives, just coming over to visit America, drive across the country. Just like I love Australia. It's my second favorite place to visit in the world. Just like the car culture is the second best. Hope I don't offend any other countries with that, but it's literally an Americanized car culture there.
They're super.
The people are amazing.
Americanized.
They just like to party. They speak English. So stressful traveling countries that don't speak English. But I do want to do more international travel because the car, like Thailand, the car culture is there, insane.
Oh yeah, I forgot you went on that trip to Thailand.
Yeah.
That looked really cool.
It's very stressful because nobody speaks English and it's a completely different language. Like
I watched enough CB media where I'm like,
European languages you can kind of figure out. Spanish you can figure out if you're American, but in Thailand it's not. But here, what's the percentage of cars you see on the street that are modified roughly?
oh, I mean, it's like 0%. It's like
There it's like 90.
You know what I mean? It's like a decimal point percent.
Well, you live in Florida. In Omaha, it's a little bit more.
None of them are. Everybody in Florida just has a stock car.
Yeah.
I don't understand
in Thailand, everything's modified. Taxi cabs have TE37s and titanium exhausts, and it's amazing.
Yeah, that looks really cool. That seems like such a interesting culture shock of everything having extra mirrors for some reason.
You have to go.
I don't understand what the mirror thing is.
I don't either. They just like doing. It's just a different car style.
It's just
or
stacks
different
of mirrors.
style. Yeah.
But yeah, it does seem cool. I mean, my buddy Daniel moved down there. He just abandoned the U.S. because Thailand.
Yeah. If you visit and you see what it's like there, if you don't have many attachments in the U.S., it's really hard not to stay. Your dollar goes 5 times further there. Literally, Chad's apartment's like $400 a month on the beach, like to block off the beach, like 30 stories up.
I mean, if you got like a U.S. remote job, it seems crazy.
But you could get really lonely over there.
Oh, I'd imagine.
Especially and Chad doesn't really know the language over there, so I don't know how he socializes, how he does, but he makes it work.
He's been there a long time though.
He has.
You got to pick up some of it. Like
I think he knows about a dozen words.
Yeah, you got to pick up some.
He knows how to order some good food. Oh, I love Thai food. Oh my gosh.
That's so interesting that it's like, but it's not a street racing culture. It's not like
No, and there might be some street racing there, but it's like coming from the outside. I'm so glad that Chad was there to help guide me through places because I would have had no idea where to go other than just Google. He took me to some really cool spots. That truck race that they had, truck car show and race, the Thai drag strip there, Bangkok Drag Avenue. Very interesting. He had forgotten that they don't do any side-by-side drag racing there. And so I found this out when I got there.
that's just solo passes.
Yeah, and then
just hero passes.
He'd also forgotten that they do eliminations differently. They run every class all the way out, and then they run the next class. So we got there like 2 hours late in the day during eliminations, and we missed like 4 of the classes.
They just run class by class.
So that really forced me to figure out how to pivot and make content a different way. So
Yeah.
that was one of the most stressful moments.
Have you been to South America to
We
film?
went to Brazil
Okay.
a few times. Well, we only went to Brazil once to film. Brazil was actually the first place I showed my face on camera.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was there for a PayPal trip, and the video is on our channel. It's like twin turbo, 1970 something Camaro in Brazil, and I was a little worried that I was going to get kidnapped because we were in Sao Paulo, and it turns out this guy's house or apartment was like 2 blocks from my hotel. So I thought this was just like some kidnapping scheme or something. And it's not. He's a great friend of mine. Amazing car. He had this split bumper Camaro, twin turbo, 1,200 horsepower. And turned the camera. I was like, hey, I'm here in Brazil. I'm just like documenting where I'm at just in case. But their drag racing scene there is amazing. The track in Porto Alegre, amazing. The people are so hospitable. They just want to show you a good time. And the Opal is there, the inline 6.
They have fast stuff there too.
They do.
Like they have like properly fast cars in Brazil. Like Stevie Fast goes down there to actually like race pro mod stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's
Fuel Tech has been a
cool.
massive part about making drag racing big there.
Mm-hmm.
They're like literally heroes of the country there. They're praised by everyone, and they should be.
That's pretty cool. That
They
the
built
whole
something
country
special.
Fuel Tech everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of their motto.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool that it's like that. And yeah, I've always seen the videos of Brazil and some of the stick shift.
The Impalas, they use a strain gauge, so kind of cheating, but inline 6, stick shift H pattern with the strain gauge, big turbo. They're finally making billet blocks because they're running out of blocks. They've been using them all, and I think they're running like high 6s if I remember right, something like that. Murder Nova went down there and drove one a couple of times. It's been down there a few times.
It seems like a cool deal. Mm-hmm. So, do you have any more project cars you want to do? I know you had the R8 originally, and you traded it out for a stock one, kind of.
I wish I had traded it out. Man,
you sold it and bought a stock one.
I've got such heartburn about modifying cars. I don't really have any natural interest in modifying cars myself, and I don't really have much spare time, so I've just paid shops to build cars for me the way I want them.
Yeah.
And the experiences just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And it wasn't necessarily for any particular person's fault. It was just bad situations, bad parts, luck of the draw over and over again. My C5, if you didn't notice, the videos were very inconsistent. I have a video, and then 3 months later I have another video, and then I have 3 more like a month later. It's because the car was always broken.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to create content when your car's broken. And if a shop's building it and you have discounted parts or sponsors, you can't really like show too much because it makes people look bad and then they don't want to help you out.
Yep.
So I can only show the good. So we've been considering potentially doing a car build ourselves, but that just comes down to what the next step is for 1320 Video, because getting into car builds is a massive project. Even just setting up the space to do it in our shop is a big investment.
Yep.
Time, money. So it's something we're very interested in doing, but I don't want to do it at a professional level of drag racing like a lot of these guys do. I want to do it as a passion project, but I don't know how to create content people want to see just off of something I'm interested in building for fun. Like I feel like the content strategy would be fairly short, like the lifespan of that car, unless you're competitive in some sort of class.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been my worry is like building a car that I like is cool, but it's not going to do anything if I can't race it or be competitive in it. I'm sure you felt that a little bit with the R8 and the C5 you thought would be more good drag race car, but it turned out to be more broken transmission. And
yeah, I broke pretty much every part on that car. The R8 was mainly transmission stuff. The R8 is literally like my perfect dream street car ever. If I could have one with like 1,300 horsepower with a stick shift, it'd be even better. My ZR1's still my favorite car, and that car is perfect. CT Performance has made that thing. 2.5 years, no issues. Just change the oil.
Yeah,
love it. 900 horsepower.
I don't think anybody's gonna argue with the C6 ZR1 being perfect.
I love that car, but I want another turbo R8. I'm just not. I got to the point where it was controlling my emotions for months. I was depressed when that car was in the shop. It was in the shop for up to 9 months at one point, and then I got it back and it broke again. So I was like, I can't be depressed because of a car. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so I've just taken a break from modifying cars.
I get that.
I've just focused on other things in my life because it's not that important to let it control my emotions.
That's a painful one. 9 months of being gone, it hurts.
And I feel like I would like modifying cars, but I don't know what exactly I want to do in the near future for the business, for myself. So I'm just spending some time figuring that out.
That makes sense.
A lot of opportunities out there.
Yeah, which direction, and you kind of also have to predict the direction of what YouTube viewership is going to
you can
like.
Never
and
predict that.
What YouTube algorithm might like, and because they're big undertakings when you have a bigger ship to turn.
Yes.
And you have a much
big
larger
ship. We got
ship.
12 employees, including me.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's crazy.
That's a lot of people.
But it's so much fun. Like it's to be able to do this for a living with my friends is amazing. We have so many different opportunities we can take advantage of right now. But we have a small and mighty team. We got to figure out what what direction to push in next.
Well, and, your channel's unique because you have such a huge catalog of evergreen videos in a way.
Yeah.
That probably get so many residual views that just kind of keep rolling in.
We call ourselves a sports center of streetcar racing. Like, we have a lot of vloggers get a lot of instant views.
Yep.
And then they kind of die off. We get a lot of, we'll have a video from 5 years ago just pop off randomly.
That seems like the nicest way to have it, is just a huge catalog. And there's so much that sits there that could probably go somewhere else and get more views again. But then you just have you'd need like a full-time person just churning up old things.
Yeah, that's not really exciting.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's interesting trying to figure out where to pivot next with what we have. There's only so many drag racing fans out there. Like, it's not a football fan base like tens of millions or hundreds of millions of people like football. So we're kind of limited in what we can pick from. Garrett Cletus, he's gotten into all sorts of different avenues to grow in different ways, and we're just kind of mainly film drag racing. And every time we try and pivot outside that, we get a smack to the face like, I don't know if that's going to work out, If we keep pushing towards that way, then maybe it'll work out, but it's hard to decide which avenue to go.
And now you're talking probably stuff like things that you've done other videos on where, the ice racing's still drag racing.
Yeah, still motorsports for sure.
Yeah. Just as long as it's motorsports, the avenue of motorsports, it should be okay.
We got into experiences for about a year or so, and that was a lot of fun. It was really stressful for me. I had a hard time figuring out how to film something I was completely unfamiliar with. I'm not very good at thinking in the moment on how to do that. Fred was a lot better at that. So I'd come back with like 5 hours of footage, and Fred would come back with like 45 minutes. And so the editors really didn't like my experience videos.
That's a lot of footage to go through.
I can't get away from filming everything.
Yeah, I know. I've seen that with you. You probably have the most camera roll footage of any person that I've seen.
Around 90,000 right now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not quite that bad. I got a lot, but not like that. It's interesting thinking the future of 1320 video, and obviously you guys have the same path, and these events will always need the coverage. It's not like everyone's the same where you don't cover TX2K next year because you've already done it.
Yeah.
They all need the same coverage, like the Super Bowl needs coverage every year.
Exactly.
So that's cool.
But to keep things exciting for me personally and the crew that's been doing it for 10, 11, 12 years, we got to do new stuff. And for our audience, like they're there to see new stuff, new experiences.
Why don't you take your car on a epic road trip?
It's been one of the ideas.
Yeah. Which one I really like is, I think you even posted about it, the husband-wife couple that took their...
Oh, yeah. We met them in Brazil.
That took their car through, like, every continent.
In 1984, I think it was, they left somewhere in Europe and just set off on this lifelong exploration. We ran into them when we were visiting Fuel Tech down in Porto Alegre, Brazil. And I think his wife was sick, and they were staying in our hotel. And they had this, like, Land Rover or something that was covered in all the different cities and countries and whatever they've been in, and the dates. And it was just really cool to talk to them.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty cool adventure to do something like that. Have you been to you've been to African continent, right? I mean...
no, not yet.
Well, like, is Dubai on the African continent? Kind of in the Middle East. Right?
That's UAE.
Yeah, UAE. Yeah. Trying to
Dubai was cool for sure.
That one seems like a cool one.
Yeah.
So nothing on the African continent.
What you see of Dubai is a big facade. It's like the Americanized tourist area, and then there's like the industrial area that's like crazy. Crazy.
Most of it's just a fake.
No, I mean, it's just
facade.
not. Yeah, it's not what
you think.
It's not what traditional Dubai like neighborhoods called like areas are. There's the big tourist area, like this big strip.
That makes sense. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for coming on. I hope to do this again. Guys, 1320 Video is where you follow him at everything that they do. One of my favorite channels on YouTube, of course.
Can I ask you a couple of questions real quick before we wrap it up?
Yes.
Okay. For someone that's getting into podcasting, what's your number one tip
Don't screw up the audio.
Ah.
It's always a good one. That one helps. Like losing video is fine. I've lost video. Don't screw up the audio.
Oh, no. So you can do it without video, just not on YouTube.
Yeah, try to open with something of interest, unless you're gonna like build an intro where you take some interesting clips. I always try to think about opening it with something that's interesting, because I caught myself opening it too boring sometimes.
Gotcha.
But you gotta like really hook them, especially like I said, if you're not building an intro of like taking interesting clips, which I just don't have time to do. That would be one of my big ones. You guys might have to travel, being Nebraska based.
Yeah, we've been thinking about that. Flying people in is going to get really expensive.
Yeah.
You're lucky that you're here, and a lot of people come drag racing nearby. That's amazing.
Oh, I got the right spot. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you guys could just take that private jet from Garrett and use that, right?
Yeah, sure. I can visit Omaha every once in a while.
Yeah. That would be my top of my tips, I would think.
Okay. How much research do you do on the guests that come in?
It depends on who it is. Some I don't have to really do any research on. Some I'll do a lot of brainstorming. I try not to listen to other things that people have really done if I'm about to have them on. Like if I'm going to have somebody on the show, it's not like I'm going to go listen to like other podcasts they've done, because I feel like that would just taint.
You'll overthink it then.
Yeah, it would taint what I'm about to kind of find out. I want to learn on my own and stress my interviewing skills instead of rely on knowing everything.
Yeah. We've had a lot of fun with it. And I've watched a bunch of years, and I love how you do the podcast. It's been cool to hear it.
I appreciate that.
Here. But it was very nerve-wracking the first one we did as a crew, and then when we had our first guest, Joey was on, it was just like hanging out talking to a friend.
Yep. Joey's a good guest. He's not like loud over the top or anything, but he's really good guest, because he's been on this show twice now, and he's just, I really like having him on as a guest. And I think you're going to find some people that you think would be a really good guest, and then they're not going to give, like, they're not going to give you much.
Interesting.
And you're like, man, you have so much to give, and I know you have so much to give, but you're giving me short answers here.
Interesting.
And you're going to fall into that where you're like, why is this person not the person that they are?
Yeah. It was cool to have Joey on because, like, he's so busy with his race schedule. We're so busy with work. I don't really see him in Omaha that much. We just see each other at racetracks now. And so he's always, like, in the moment, in character, focused on his racing. He's a different person. Then we were just hanging out, talking.
Yeah.
It was just like back in the day, just hanging out.
And that's the best way to do it. I usually tell my guests, like, I want this to feel like we're sitting down at Texas Roadhouse after a drag race. I don't want this to feel like too, like, interviewee, I guess you could say. Like, yes, I do have to interview to pull interesting things out, but I want it to feel very natural and like we're just hanging out talking about racing. And that tends to work the best. But the people that you don't think are going to be the most interesting tend to be really good at talking and being interesting, and everybody's got some good stories. But then you're also going to be disappointed, where I've had this where some people I think should get more views, and I'm like, man, if you just gave this guy a chance.
How long have you been making YouTube videos for, Cooper?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But I'm like, if people just gave this video a chance, like, because they're tuning out because they don't know who the guest is.
Sure.
And I get it. They just don't click because they don't know. But I'm like, man, you're missing out on some interesting stuff here. And
last question: is there a guest that you would love to see us have on our show?
Who did I have a really interesting time with?
Or was there a favorite you've had?
So one that always stands out to me, a couple. Jay from Ignite.
Oh my God.
Awesome.
I love Jay. I never have enough time to talk to Jay.
And he's awesome. Whenever we talk, I always call it like the State of the Union address, because that's kind of how he does. He like talks about farming and racing and all these things that are going on in the world. And then another really interesting one is Greg, the owner of Tile Wastegates, who came on, and he's been building tile wastegates forever. Probably the most Chinese stolen race car part of all time.
Yep. saw a little bit of that one.
And he owns, you know, a foundry and all this cool stuff. He was really interesting to have on. But Jay is always one of my favorites just because he's awesome. And he doesn't get to be heard from a lot. Like, that's the thing. I talk to a lot of YouTubers and people that have their own outlet. But when you talk to somebody that doesn't have their own outlet, it's really satisfying because they have
the opportunity now.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So definitely do that. Peter would be interesting. I've never talked to Peter in long form.
He's actually going to be in Omaha in a couple of weeks. If he has time, he's going to swing by.
That'd be nice. Yeah, it'd be cool to hear from his history of TX2K and being the supranationals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That'll be cool. Well, yeah, I'm really excited to see some more of your episodes because you guys.
We're trying not to overlap too much with you. We have our own different niches that we want to reach into, but I've been looking at a lot of your stuff and.
No, I appreciate it really because I think more media in the car world will rise up all the ships and then all the names will be more known, and that's what I need. I need everybody that comes on their name to be more known. Yeah. So. It gets more attention and it's better that way.
The more media, the better. But I appreciate you having me on.
Exactly. Thank you guys so much for coming, but we will see you next time.